Well done, brave hero. Your labor has borne fruit. Enjoy these goods as a reward for your dedication.
Hello. Sorry, I was supposed to disable those. Thank you very much, dear Fenrir. I appreciate that. We're not going to be doing any wisdoms today. I hope you don't mind, since it's class. But thank you. Thank you for your support. Welcome, everybody. Robot class day 15. Last week we sculpted a detachable backpack structure. And I just did the sanding on it just now. So we created this geometric structure with an armature in it. And now we're going to continue with our robot's design. So yeah, how dare you, Fenrir? How dare you? How dare you not know that I haven't disabled it yet? That's good. That's all good. That's on me. Hola. Hello, gravity. Okay, so let's get in here. So we can see I did the sanding here. This comes off real nice and smooth. Nice form-fitted piece. Detachable, so now we can just work on this as a separate project, essentially. Now you can see some areas where I exposed the foil. Now this is okay because the surface is still flat there, which is really what we're after. Just getting these nice flat surfaces, because we're going to do a layer of clay over this, and that will be the... It's everybody's birthday today? It's not my birthday. Are you calling me a nobody, Fenrir? If today is everyone's birthday, but not mine, does that make me nobody? Well, happy birthday to those whose birthday it is. I guess it didn't really deal with this area on the belt sander. You can see it's not super flat, so we'll just have to give that some extra attention during the sculpting. And same with this. I couldn't sand this one because of the wire here. So, but all these ones we want to kind of make use of that flat area, and anywhere where it didn't kind of pan out, like this corner right here, we're just gonna design. Ain't doing no belt sanding. That's fine. You know, if you didn't do belt sanding, you just have to spend more time in the establishing the plane step. Okay. We were able to get these planes nice and smooth. This is a perfect scenario for if you have a belt sander to use one. And you'll see if you sand this clay, it's hard to explain, but it's almost like an eraser. It's like you're sanding an eraser. The way that it kind of comes off in like these little eraser chunks. So, but it is sandable, and you can see we can get really crisp edges, you know. Okay, so now the next step is to essentially just start working on the actual design step. So now we developed the structure and the base shape. Okay. And then next step is to start laying on layers of clay and developing the shape. Now, with the way this is designed, we have two places to hold here, the wire and then the stem here. But we might want to leave maybe like the top and the bottom unsculpted, and then just do this, so that way we can hold like this and also set it down. Yeah, definitely. I don't think doing this whole backpack in one session would be wise, but I think that's probably how I'll split it up. Is we'll do this side panel here, here, and here. Just designing. That's the fun. This is the fun part, right? I do have an intention to put like some tanks, you know, like some cylinder tanks on the side, maybe on both sides. So I'm gonna keep that in mind when I'm doing these areas to maybe leave them a little more plain, you know, to not spend a bunch of time putting all these nice details that I'm just gonna cover up later. I get that from this guy here, this piece of reference over on our reference board. And we included that in our sketch, but this like idea of these like little tanks going into the, you know, with little tubes connecting, something like that. And I think I might do it on both sides. We'll see. I will say this part of the project, you can follow along exactly how I do things, or you can have your own creative freedom to kind of explore things. But essentially, you're just, this is the creative decision steps where there's no right or wrong answers. We're just making one creative decision after another. Now, the way I stop myself from getting hung up on decision making is I just start with the simplest, most straightforward decision I can make, which for right now is I know which sides I'm going to sculpt, so let's get a base layer of clay down so we can actually begin the exploration of those sides. So, and always remember, we can always layer on top of these layers that we're doing now. That you don't have to be like, you know, committed to it totally. Okay, let's cut us some of this. I have a little bit of clay, but I think I'm gonna need some more. That should do it. Plain establishment, that's right. There's been a few times on projects where I've used the belt sander to establish planes on really, you know, really boxy, you know, you could really only do it with like super flat surfaces, with no concaves, you know, all convex type stuff. But it always saves time, so it's just a time saving tool. Because I've also done it before where I compact aluminum foil really tightly and then I just hit up the foil with the sander. You just sand the foil and you're just getting that nice understructure to be nice and flat and smooth. It just makes the layers on top of it come together real easy. So, because now all we have to do is we got these nice flat surfaces, pretty close to perfect. There's a little bit of parts where the clay kind of peeled away, but for the most part, it's gonna be real easy. All we gotta do is roll a nice even layer with the pasta machine, and then it'll be just as geometric as the understructure. I don't have a belt sander. I might have to get one. It's not 100% necessary, but yeah, I mean, it's a useful tool. Tools like that, you don't need them. They're just nice to have. There's other ways to do it. It's just those other ways aren't as time efficient. Okay, I'm gonna do, you know what, yeah, let's do the thickest setting here. It gives us more depth to work with. For that first layer, it should be pretty good. Is that tall enough? Yeah, I think so. Okay. We're going to add our clay glue here. And I don't have my brush. Oh, this will have to do. Now the clay glue, when you're doing a layer like this, you want to make sure it's not too thick, because then it like you're trying to add this layer and it just kind of slides around on you. So don't leave any excess here. There we go. And then we're just gonna take this like so. And at this stage, we want to be very gentle with it. We're gonna use this armature as a handle here. If I didn't have this piece of armature, I'd probably try to not do, I'd probably do one side at a time. My glue brush has embarked on a misadventure. Yeah, that one always disappears on me. Okay, now I'm gonna use a tool. Now I'm gonna push the tool in a way that I'm almost like I'm carving towards the edge. See, so it's like almost like pinching the clay right into that corner. I'm not cutting away. I'm not cutting away from this. That would pull the layer of clay out, you know. So I'm pushing it in and using that edge that's underneath and kind of gliding the tool right on the edge. This is what really makes it kind of attach. Okay, that edge didn't quite go all the way up, but that's okay. Let's do this edge right here. There we go. Okay, Clayton. Catch you later, my friend. Oh, hey. Thanks for the raid, Raiders. Welcome in. We're doing a class on how to sculpt a robot. Welcome in. This is an ongoing class. This is the 15th kind of session. You can check out all the episodes over on a YouTube playlist over on my YouTube channel. Welcome in. So it's really important the way you're kind of motioning the tool. It really makes it adhere to the surface. Okay, we can now hold the top and the bottom like this. Much easier to hold. That's really what it comes down to, is making sure you just have enough places to hold. Don't give yourself an uncomfortable sculpting situation. Always, you're going to be less likely to do a good job and put a lot of detail in if it's uncomfortable. These sides, so the bottom, this side we don't touch because it's the one that's up against the robot, but this side, and this side, we're not going to do in this layer. So right now we're focusing on these exterior sides, and that's just so we can have a place to hold. If we tried to cover the whole thing right now, it would be very annoying to have to sculpt. I'm just going to kind of clean up this edge with this wooden tool here. Get rid of that kind of texture. This edge didn't go all the way up, but that's okay. Just add it to the design. What's nice is when you have this hardened understructure, you can do these beveled edges really easy by using that kind of hardened surface underneath as like a guide. And you can create that beveled edge pretty nice. So there's an example of just letting whatever situation's in front of me dictate the design. So that I'll probably do a beveled edge all the way around just because of the clay not going all the way up. Let's add a little bit more here. And we might as well do it over here on this edge too. It's a creative decision cover-up. All right. There we go. We could mirror it and do the same at the bottom. It's all dependent on how clean the edge is. So however crisp your edges are, then you know, you might not want to do it on a place where the edge is not super crisp. Okay, well, this seems to be attached quite well. No bubbles from what I can see. Now you'll notice our corners are more rounded, and we could bring the corner back out if we want to. I'm not sure if that's necessary here. Okay, so what's next? Let's just do a test fitting again and make sure everything's still working and looking good here before we get into it. Pretty good. Okay. Let's grab this tool and we'll just start kind of almost like sketching and planning out our separation lines. Let's do like a trim piece at the top here. All right. And maybe as we get towards the edge, it goes like this. Martin from Argentina. Thank you. Your backpack? Yeah, we got a lot of surface area to work with here. There we go. Now let's not commit to anything totally, meaning I could now render out this part that I just kind of sketched out. But let's just do more of that. Let's kind of almost do a sketching phase where we're just planning out where things go and just with lines, you know, and then make the decision to kind of move forward. Okay. All right, Rob. Catch you later, my friend. You know, I kind of like how this is looking. It reminds me of those, those like, in future-y games, you always see those just like the crates, the random crates, and they got this like thicker metal border. So I do think I want to do something similar at the bottom, I think. So let's just sketch that in. Kind of giving it these like reinforced edges. Now you can be really meticulous with this and measure out all these like different angles and stuff, but it's not really in the nature of this character. If this was like a more like super serious sci-fi character, we would want to measure all the distances and stuff. But I'm okay with eyeballing it. Gives it a little bit of that character to be just a little bit off. Okay, I can feel that this spot is not totally adhering here, so I want to be careful with that. All right. Excuse me. Now I could see that will end up doing a like lifted edge here. You know, where this will be kind of further out. So one of the easiest ways to do that is that we actually do another layer of clay on top and then cut that out. So we might end up having to do those lines again, but that's okay. We're in the planning stage here. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I want to do a trim piece along here, along the corner as well. So I'm going to use, see this finger right here? I'm going to use this finger to lock in this distance, and I'm going to use it as a guide to go along the side here like this. This will let you create a nice steady line here. As long as you lock that in, it'll be the same. I learned that working in grocery when I was 16 years old. We'd have to cut boxes along the face of the box only, you know, in a nice clean way to make a little display. No experience is bad experience, right? Okay, let's go here. Same thing. All right. I could see, I could see there being some sort of a panel here. Now I'm going to make a line here, and I'm going to look at the distance from here to here, and I'm going to go here, and we're just going to kind of eyeball that same distance so that way it looks centered. Come down. Our refrigerator's looking good. Thanks. Wouldn't that be cool? Taking household appliances and turning them into like sci-fi or themed household appliances. Sculpted really nice. And make a whole kitchen look like a Fallout kitchen. Need to find some really wealthy nerds that would be into that, because that'd be expensive. Will I be adding greeblies? Possibly. This is a great opportunity for greeblies because we have so much surface area. I'm just not sure I even have any made. I'm behind on my greebly production, so I'll check and see what we got. But this is a great place to fill in areas with greeblies. Okay, so I know I'll roughly have, let's just gonna draw a light line here. Probably something right here that's attached to the side, and then something here. Okay, so we're just gonna put those lines in there so we can see. You had me at Fallout Kitchen. Yeah, imagine like everything in the kitchen has to be like on theme, but also functional, cleanable, like really well done, not just like done with like pink foam insulation or something. That'd be cool. Okay. What should we do next? That's the question. I feel like there has to be something going on here, something important, because this is right on the back of the character. What would be on this? Okay, let's ask some questions. What would be on the back? This is the kind of like the smoke, kind of like the chimney stack, and like probably where his computer electronic parts are. Maybe some sort of an access panel or some sort of a interface that the maker of the robot would be able to interact with. Let's see. Let's just create a section for that. Borderland. This is just an original design, but it is kind of like inspired by that kind of goofy, robot style. I could totally see this existing in Borderlands, actually, now that you mention it. How do you do straight lines without rulers? You just have to practice. So when I do a line like this, what I just did, this square, I'm paying attention to the edge of the box more than I am the actual making of the line. Because a lot of times we all can make very straight lines, but it needs to be parallel to this line. So I'm making my line, but I'm like very closely paying attention to down here. I'm also paying attention to the space between, and same with these lines. So I'm looking at here, and I'm also looking at the space between as I'm making the line. So I think that's where when you and then also the tool I'm using is better for making straight lines, because this is it's like a ship. Imagine a ship rudder, it's very hard to kind of squiggle and get off course, because look at how much of the tool, like if I just push this down, that's how much of the tool is in the clay. So it works kind of like if you've ever used a circular saw, and the circular saw wants to cut straight because the cutting edge is really long. But like a scroll saw wants to zigzag cut because the cutting edge is very small, it's very short. So if I tried making a straight line with, like, let's just say like this tool with the tip here, well, there's my cutting edge, is that little dot. So it's just, it wants to squiggle more than, it's much harder to do a nice straight line with this than it is with this nice rudder. See, it just goes straight. Exactly. So it's a combination of, using the right tool and all that fun stuff. Okay. So I feel like, let's see here. This should be built outwards. Maybe like a little screen or something. Yeah, this is a backpack. No, exactly. Okay, and then what if we have one of those like overhangs over the top of this, like stopping the rain and stuff from getting on the screen? Can you place it before baking? Okay, if you have greeblies and you want to stick them in there, if you do want to do it before baking, you have to be careful, because by kind of pushing the greebly on there, it could distort the surface of it'll cause the layer of clay we're adding to want to mushroom out. So I still think it's best to add the greebly after it's been baked onto a hardened surface. That way nothing gets distorted. And then if you have to do another layer of sculpting on top of that to like really clean it up, you can. So okay, I'm gonna think about this idea here, and we're gonna work on something else, something a little bit more straightforward, because I'm just not too sure what I want to do there yet. Okay, let's do like a few more of these little panel lines. Could actually see cutting that one out. Let's cut that one out. This is the nice part about doing the layering this way. Like so. Clean that up a little bit. Oh, you're gonna have. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you, but you're gonna have a hard time with the soft. Soft cast clay is indeed very soft, which can make things tricky. Not totally unusable. You can definitely use it for things. I use it for certain things, but it's gonna be you'll have some difficulty because of the softness. Yeah, I always recommend when you're starting with cast clay, actually start with the extra firm. And then graduate into the softer ones, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna mirror this onto the other side. I'm gonna kind of put a marker visually where the top of this is, and I'm just gonna turn it, and then I'm just gonna go like this, and I'm just gonna put that there. See? Okay, and then I'm gonna do for the bottom part. See? So it doesn't have to be perfect, just close, right? Then we're gonna do the same design. There are ways to firmen up the clay though, that you might want to try if you do get into it and it's just giving you a hard time. You can sandwich the clay, flatten the clay out and sandwich it between two pieces of printer paper. And the printer paper will kind of leach out what makes the clay soft, making it firmer. So you just kind of leave it there for a while. And it'll firmen it up. What firmness of Chavant did you get? All right, same thing. Let's cut that out. You just saw there was an air bubble there. I just kind of let the air release and then you kind of cover it back up. Cut it out very carefully. Be very mindful of where the blade is cutting and how. Didn't say I got it off Amazon. Okay, well, either way with Chavant, I think a soft, medium, or firm are all are usable. So.
Pull up a chair by the hearth.
Now I'm contemplating if I want to do it here on the other side here, but I'm not sure. I could see doing one of those here. It's kind of like access panel points. So again, I'm gonna make this line here. I'm gonna look at the distance from there to there. I'm gonna try to just get it similar. Brand is Peppy. I never heard of that. Well, should be a fun exploration experience for you. Gray. I think they came out with a gray color recently. It's a newer line. If I was you, what I would do is get the soft out, mess around with it a little bit, kind of see how it is with the cast clay. But also order some extra firm. And then use the soft to do like the understructure steps, all the steps that don't need detail, like what we did with this backpack. And then use the extra firm for the layers above where you do the actual detail work, because that's where you're going to run into problems. Because then you're still using that soft clay, and it is useful in that regard that you can you can condition it and you make bigger, larger shapes much more easily. Okay. So I definitely think this will be kind of like a little vent space. Why can't he use medium firm? He can. I recommend extra firm for people that are new. You can use medium firm. I use medium firm and the extra firm, and sometimes the soft, but I'd say my main squeeze has been medium firm. But on this last shipment, I asked for half medium firm, half extra firm, and I've been enjoying having both. All right. Like I said, I don't want to do too much here. I'm wondering if we should make these panels kind of some more panel lines here, maybe like this. Do you often make molds and casts? No, I don't. I have before, but yeah, I don't. My work is mostly just one-of-a-kind pieces. Let's do another little rectangle panel right here. Almost like a heat vent release here up at the top. Turn that into a vent as well. So you see the design process is just making decisions and then letting those decisions carry over. Every decision we make kind of affects the next one. Okay, that probably went too far. So here it went too far with these lines, so we're just gonna have to close those back up. Let's see how that's looking on the character. Okay, let's now we still haven't, we're still in the line making phase. We haven't really rendered any of these parts yet, so let's just keep pushing that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go look at we're just going to browse around some of these reference to get us some ideas of different shapes and things we can do. Find some inspiration of some sort. It's a nice little big panel spot right there. Nice little mounting clip. That's a good idea. Yeah, I could see doing something like this where we can start filling in these areas with some like almost like plug-in areas. All right, let's roll with that. Let's grab our circle tools. Some various sizes. I could see right here, maybe. Establish planes, grab circle tools. Yeah. Maybe a bit bigger. I put it on really faintly, just a little bit, just to see if that's where I want it, and then we commit, give it a little twist. Pound of extra firm and some green stuff clay. There you go. That should give you plenty to work with. Okay, I'm gonna cut this middle out. I'm gonna push it all the way down. Twisting it. So we can get it to come out. Hey, there we go. Success. We could mirror that over to the other side if we want to, or we can make it asymmetrical. How did that happen? Well, we have a layer of clay onto a baked clay surface, and by using this tool, if you cut the clay all the way around the thinner edge here, push it all the way down, and then give it a little tug. Sometimes it won't come out, but usually it comes out when you don't want it to, and then when you want it to, it doesn't come out. So that's usually how that works. So if it didn't come out, we'd have to use a tool to kind of fish it out. So all right, let's go ahead and do that on the other side here. I think we'll do symmetrical design there. And we can use that hole and like feed a tube into it at some point, or we can just leave it as is. We did the white one next. Let's see if we can get a 2 for 2. Hey, look at that. Two for 2. All right, it's looking good. Voila. Now, I'm contemplating, so I want this edge here, that we've defined, to be lifted up. It would be wise to not do that right now and to bake it. So finish this sub-layer here, where these panels are. We'll leave these lines in place so we can see where we want it to be. But what we'll end up doing is we'll essentially finish detailing this panel, and this panel. And then we bake it, and then we add another layer of clay and cut out these perimeters here. And that just makes it so this new layer on top isn't going to be affected or it's not going to mess up what we've already done here. So, and this is a way to build something mechanical very easily, just using the different thickness layers of the pasta machine. Can you show it sometime? Okay. You didn't understand what I just said there? So you bake it, okay, we finish this panel here, this lower section, bake it, and then you just simply add a layer of clay on top in these areas, and then you cut the edges, and then you sculpt the trim. Okay, and then you bake it again, and then you could even keep layering. Now I want to see you actually do it. All right, ready? There you go, like that, and then you cut it, and then you bake it. I just did it for you. I will show it. We'll do homework, but because obviously we can't wait around for things to bake during class time. Okay, so let's just focus on finishing off these panels then, so that way we can bake it and get it in the oven. I think the biggest component we have here is this screen. Okay, let's see. Gonna add some. Let's add some rivets. Clean up some of these edges that aren't quite deep enough. Yeah. Yeah, you'll see. If you don't understand, you'll see it happen. It's quite simple. Just we're thinking in layers. Did we do layering like that on another part? Can't remember. I mean, kind of like the door here, where we had this baked layer and then we added this section and then baked this. We just want this trim to be raised, and we could technically add the clay right now and cut it out, but it's gonna mess up all this other stuff underneath. Be very hard to not mess that up. A little bit off. Yeah. Right, it's gonna look, the raised area is gonna look like a reinforced kind of like metal trim. Okay. Let's see here. When I'm making decisions on where to put these rivets, I'm really thinking about how it mechanically would be held together. All right, now let's deal with these vents that we've created. I have a tool. This tool right here. It's great for making a vent. So we'll start from the top and we'll kind of push the tool down. See how it's creating that beveled edge there, and then we just do the next line, same thing. Hey, what's up, Noodle Ninja? Keeping it as straight as I can. Hey, thanks, Odd Man. I mean, you'll see a lot of the techniques I'm showing you are not super complicated. It's all about doing just the procedure the right way, and it's really fun to design your robot how you want. I think I'm gonna add some rivets here. Patience. Lines and circles. Planes, lines, and circles. That's really what a robot's made out of. Okay. We'll do the same vent here on the sides. Okay, we have to clean up a little bit here. So from the pressure of the clay, you can see it's pushed this line down. So we're just going to reinforce that line. And then get rid of these little pieces here. Okay, and the next side. Okay, so at this point, we will be doing the kind of the small surface texture stuff. So we're gonna go in with our ball stylus and do some texture building. Let's see here. Should have another one around here somewhere. Let me find the right tool. You know, and it's okay to, like I said, you know, I'm doing kind of like a base design. Just, I picked out a few elements, I'm fully rendering them, and then I'm going to bake it. And then, of course, I will want to add more layers on top. Maybe some greeblies, some more interest. This is just, we're just developing the ground level, essentially. I don't even know where that particular ball stylus ran off to. With my brush. I could use this one. Yeah, that's what we're about to do right now. It's kind of the roughening of it, the wear and tear step. Can the second layer be baked by itself, removed from the robot? The backpack? Yes. You don't need to bake the whole robot. So we have this detachable part. You'll just bake the backpack. No need to bake the robot. The same goes for like the detachable head and all that stuff. I have no idea where this ball stylus ran off to. I think... we'll just have to make do with what we have here. The camera is hanging around my neck, yes. It's a harmonica holder. I have this tool right here, which is like a 4 ball styluses kind of next to each other. Okay, so we're gonna add some kind of like a almost like corroded, corrosive marks where maybe some rust is building up, or kind of like that corrosion you would see on like a cast iron pan or something. It does quite the good job there. So usually around like where the water would pool, you know, around rivets and you know, like under a vent where moisture would be dripping, you know, stuff like that. That's usually what's going on in my mind when I'm deciding where do we put this stuff. And you want to shade it out almost like you're like shading a drawing or something. You don't want it to be like really heavy and then like, you know, you want it to be blended in, so kind of like a gradient. Can't find a thing, right? You have to have a natural randomness to it. Now this is one area I haven't developed yet, and I think we might not until the other layer as well. This little, whatever this computer screen area will be, I think it'd be best to do that in another layer. In fact, what would be wise for us to do, is since we've decided we're not going to do this right now, it would be to cut it out, just in case we don't want it to be higher than the rest. So let's just cut this out. Because if we left this here and we wanted the computer screen to be kind of sunken in, well then it's a much harder job to cut it out after it's been baked. So let's just remove it right now since we're not doing anything with it. And then after we've cured it, we can re-add the material here later. There. All right, let's go back in with our... No, we're going to drop it on the ground. So drop the tool on the ground. It's an important step. Very important. Then pick it back up. Keeps the body nice and stretched out when you got to get up and pick up your tools every 5 minutes. Don't get stiff. All right. So the best textures are where you create a step or like a process and then you execute it. And then you go through and you do another step or process. And you do this as many times as you want to create really awesome textures. So this is the first step of our process. Kind of creating this textured areas where corrosion or rust would be located, usually around bolts and in lower areas where the water would pool or under vents, stuff like that. And in some random areas too, like sometimes rust is just in a random spot. This doesn't actually have to become rust later. It can just look like just a little more of like a roughed up metal area. But it does give us that option of having that texture there, especially in the painting. What's the TV cutout part gonna look like? I don't know. Beats me. That's really the reality of it. When you're sculpting something, you're figuring that part out. You don't have to know exactly what it's gonna look like. you can just have a rough idea of what you want to do and then discover or figure out what it will look like later, you know. Why did I cut it out? Well, if I would have left it in there, then I would have had to layer on top of that, or I would have to cut it out and remove it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's all about what level do I want it to be at? Do I want it to be higher or do I want it to be lower here? So by removing it, I've given myself the option to make it deeper, kind of like sunken into the backpack. Whereas if I had left the clay there and then baked it, in order to sink it in, I would have to carve that out with like an X-Acto knife or something, which you could have done, to be honest. So it's just I can always re-add the clay back in there very easily. You know, it's just easier to do that. But yeah, you could have just left it there, and then if you decided later you wanted it to be sunken in, just use a sharp X-Acto knife and do the same thing. The difference is you then have a piece of baked clay instead of it's just using more material unnecessarily. So that would be a scrap to add to your baked clay scrap bin. Hey, what's up, Jade? Welcome. What do you do with baked clay scraps? Well, I'm starting to hang on to them because you can use them. You can actually grind them up into a powder and mix them back into the clay to create like a filler clay. It wouldn't be clay you would use for detailed stuff, but like bulking out bases or something like that. Also just using the chunks, like incorporating it into the design of bases. Let's grab some more here. Yeah, that looks good for that step. Next step, I'll use a small ball stylus with this really small tip here. And we're just gonna punch in some kind of deeper holes where maybe the corrosion got a little bit more. Could even see a little spot where there was some sort of an incident, like maybe a splash of acid or something corroded through the metal right here. Who knows what this robot's encountered. I've used big granules of sea salt and liquid epoxy to make rust clumps. Oh, interesting. That's a good idea. That's another whole nother aspect. You can add texture to something post baking with methods like that, or like texture paints and stuff. You'll see us later in this lesson using a texture paint called Dirty Down Rust, and man, it's really good stuff. It really it emulates rust better than anything I've ever seen, so we'll definitely be using that on this one. I will say, however, it is a little bit pricey. I think it's like $30 for the tube of it, but I'd say worth it based on the effect that it gives. All right. Next step, scratches. Let's see here. So typical texture for metal is to have these really, really faint scratches all over. You know, if you ever look at anything that's metal, that's, oh hey, I found that ball stylus. No, I don't need it. Any sort of surface that's metal that's been used in any way, usually if you look very closely, you see all these really like hairline scratches that kind of go very straight in one direction or the other. So we're gonna do those, and particularly it's the corners that get hit the most with these scratches. So this is the tool from Ken's Tools, which has these really wispy wires. You could make something like this real easy with like memory wire, but the idea is that it very softly touches the surface because the wire's got so much bend. So we're going to use this. You could use a regular tool like this and do the same effect. You just have to hold it very lightly and just very lightly drag it across the surface. So let's see here. And I like to use only just the end because I don't want that many all going the same way. So we're just going to do, you know, kind of changing the direction each time. Very, very faint. I don't know if you guys can even see those. Let me see. Let's see. Let's do a zoom in here. Do you see them now? Should be able to see them now. Those really add a lot of character and really make it read as metal. Now, we want a balanced, not too much, but not too little of this. And then we'll do our next texture here. So you're trying to think about how this object would interact with the environment and which direction would it be getting hit from the most, you know? This explorer robot's kind of trudging through brush and all kinds of stuff that would leave behind little scratches. And they're usually not curved, these scratches. They're usually pretty straight. All right, I think that's pretty good. And then we go in with this this tool here, and we're going to add any areas that might have got hit a little bit harder and left an even bigger kind of ding. So, you know, like this. There won't be too many of the big ones here because they'll be kind of protected by that raised edge, right? Technically. But we'll still add some. Always like that iconic X scratch. All right. Not too much, not too little. Now I could see a little bit of a very faint fingerprinting going on there, so we're gonna want to go over this with a little bit of alcohol. Yeah, we don't want to leave. They're very, very faint. You could barely see them. But I know if you leave those behind, when you do the painting, they're gonna really come out. So let's take an alcohol brush. Now we want to be careful not to do too much brushing and erase any of our detail. And we don't want to lay on the alcohol too much. So I'm gonna get rid of most of it off the brush here. I'm just gonna carefully touch those areas that might have fingerprints. If you turn it so you see the shininess of the clay, you can really see the surface better. And we can see. Okay, that looks good. Looks like we got them all there. No fingerprints shall be left behind. Be careful not to leave any brush strokes, and go back in and kind of stipple the brush a little bit to remove the fingerprint or remove the brush strokes. Okay, good. All right. There. So now this is ready for baking. We're gonna bake it, lock it in. Then we'll go back in and do these well, actually, I'll probably end up doing the bottom and these two panels first, and then baking it again, and then doing this trim around the whole thing, this raised up trim. Bake it again, and then, just layer as much as you want until you have your kind of final look. Let's set a goal for homework to have the backpack, just the main body part of the backpack done, not the smokestack and not the side kind of things we're adding onto the sides, but just the general kind of this area here. So the bottom, the back, all this stuff done. And you can add greeblies after it's been baked if you want. But yeah. Let's do that, and then next week we'll get into how to do the smokestack and how to approach these kind of these side tanks that we want to add on there. So, but yeah, so that's gonna go get in the oven. We'll call that good for today. Let's head on over to the Discord and see what you guys are up to. So we're applying just the same techniques we've done on the rest of the pack, plus anything you might have learned when we did the body and the other parts of the robot. We just want to make that part like a finished part, where there's no unfinished sides. All the sides are finished. Let's see here. Let me pull up Discord and we'll go check and see what you guys got over in the class folder here. All right. All right, Looney Lorna. we'll catch you later. We'll go ahead and check the robot class. Now, if anyone's new here, anyone is allowed to join these classes at any point. We have playlists saved over on YouTube where you can follow along, and each week you can post your work on Discord, and I'll look at it and give you any feedback I might see. So you can join in at any stage of the class, and it could be any class. It could be this one or the other two we've already finished, which is the Gremlins and the Dragon class. So if you're wanting to learn, that's a good resource for you. All right, let's go. It's Friday afternoon. Hopefully we'll get more done before Sunday. I'm making a post just for the dang tubing situation. Okay. I feel accomplished, but now I know why I was so resistant here. A rare photo of some of my workspace background. Anyway, now I know what a mandrel is. I got the Dremel cutting disc, but didn't have the center part. Oh, okay. I see, you got the disc, but you didn't get the part that holds the disc. Okay. Luckily, I found something else. Had to cut a few pieces before I got to where the 16 gauge wire would fit. The steel stick dried hella fast for some reason, and it was fluttering. It was a fluttering of nerves doing it. As you can see, the tube was sticking out, so I had to remove it and cut some more off the end. The whole thing isn't perfectly flush. We'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah, it looks good. No, the tubing doesn't have to be flush. You can make it look flush with the sculpting, so that's good. Yeah, in steel stick, for some reason, sometimes you'll mix it and it will cure faster than usual. I don't know what causes it. It could be the particular mix of the tube. It could be environmental, like how hot it is in the room, or humidity. Also the amount. The more there is that you're mixing, the faster it kind of kicks off, because it's all heat based, you know. So, all right, you did good. Looks great. Yeah, that'll work perfect. And then when you do the sculpting step, it's going to be flush, just like how mine is. You know, it comes off super flush, seamless. I almost just touched it real easily. Yeah, I really like how that detachable part works there. And it just makes it so much more convenient to work on. Good. Clayton. Got my one shoulder done. The radar dish is what signaled the fixers. Okay. And here's 2/3 of my fixers. The bipedal one needs an antenna. Ah, nice. Okay. I see what he did there. Probably had some sort of a sphere and then put a layer of clay on the sphere and then baked it on that sphere, and then you're able to remove and have that dish shape. I imagine that's how he would have done it. That's how I would have. So, very nice. Looks great. Okay, let's see. Let's go. Let's just do arrows here. Yeah, I love it. Such a cool story Clayton's building here. These turned out really good. I just really love the track, the way the tracks look and everything. I would also recommend you take like a knife later on and carve out some, like, if you ever look at like tank treads or something, there's like little chunks of rubber that got removed and stuff over time. Yeah. There's some bipedal ones. These are he's doing a story where he's got a robot that's broken down, and then he's got a few fixer bots fixing up the bigger robot. So these are the fixer bots. Nice. That's awesome. Really cool. Nice. Nice work, Clayton. Very good. ID 10 Tango. Got a little ahead of myself. Maybe should have started on a class that was already completed. Oh well. That's it. You're excited. I get it. Still some tubes and wires and doodads to place, but coming together. Okay. So we got a backpack here. Yeah, these are the kind of the tubes I'll be making probably in the next class. But yours look really good. You did a good job. Turned out really nice. Jetpack backpack. Awesome. Okay, I'm definitely getting those Fallout vibes with your robot. It's funny, Clayton seems to be inspired by Star Wars, and yours seems to be inspired by like a Fallout kind of style. I like it. Like Fallout meets Mechanarium or something. Awesome. Now, I don't see the detachable part, but did you make yours thick metal steampunkish? Yeah, exactly. Did you make the pack detachable the same way we did, or did you do it a different way? Two wires into the back. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, it just makes it so much easier, especially later when we get into the painting. So with parts like these, don't make them permanent until you're done with the painting, because I'm telling you, it's so convenient to hold something that's separately and paint it, and then later you can decide if you want to glue it and make it permanent, or leave it detachable permanently. So it just depends. I'd say if it's not really like user friendly and it comes off easily, then you just glue it on permanently. But if it's user friendly and it looks nice and it doesn't come off easy, then you can leave it detachable. Nice work. Good job there, ID 10 Tango. Didn't have a chance to establish the plane yet. Need to add more clay. Okay, so... Oh, okay, yeah, you're doing the backpack right here. I didn't have the separator... Okay, I didn't have separator painted on the little piece on the top back. What will happen when it's removed? Should I cut some clay off? Just if you're trying to remove it and it's sticking, you just got to use the X-Acto knife to get it to free, to get it to come up. Nice. A sleeker pack indeed, but that's okay. A pack nonetheless. I like it. It works with your character, so. Yes. Establishing the planes. You just want to use that big knife, that big palette knife if you got it, to really get those planes nice and flat. And get the corners nice and sharp. Very good. Caros. Hi, CNOT. I'm at the very beginning, and I have been changing this part a few times to get the basic forms right. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Oh, wow, look at this. Look at these established planes. Very planar. I think you've done an excellent job. Great planes, yeah. Very crisp. Very angular. All the corners meet up real nice. A new robot joins the ranks. Yeah. No, I think, and obviously we have some asymmetry here because of the slant of the shoulders. But with the style of robot we're making, that's okay. You can allow stuff like this. Okay. If we were making like a super serious, but honestly, I think if I was making a super serious symmetrical robot, I would probably make all the parts separately so I can make sure they're perfectly symmetrical and then assemble the robot just like you would, so that way you can make sure. But that's the only thing that I see, that everything else is perfect. But the slant, because of the way the armature is, and also you got to think we're going to be adding all the stuff on top and around it. I would say just start doing the details and get that first layer done, you know. Get it locked in, you're ready for the next step for sure. Nice work. Glad to have you joining us there, Carol. Would you use small magnets? What, to attach all the pieces together? If I was making the robot separately and then assembling it, I would do all the main structures like the torso, the forearm, pretty much like, yeah, the torso, the like hip joint, all these parts you make separately, and then you like bring them all together onto an armature, like drilling holes through it and attaching it on the armature, and then adding clay on all the in-between areas that's connecting them, and then bake it all together as one. So that's just a whole different way to build a robot, but it's a lot more complicated. But if you were making like, you wanted to make like a super meticulously symmetrical parts, then that would probably be the way to do it, because then you can focus on each part being perfect, you know. Yeah. Nice work. All right, good job, robots. Looks like we got a dragon update here. About Ray Ray. Took a break from working on my dragon, so I'm behind schedule. Here she is so far. Now to bulk out her body and get to the fun stuff, details. Yeah, exactly. All right. It's a cute face. Very nice. Good shapes, good detail. Oh, I see. Okay, we got some jewelry on the horns. I like it. I imagine you're gonna go with like a purplish, reddish colored dragon, maybe, or something like that. Well, I can make it more symmetrical. You can if you want to. I think it'd be a lot of extra work for. I'd say if you're gonna do that, to finish what you have and bake it and then add on more clay instead of trying to manipulate what you already, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get in there to like fix that small issue and then just cause more work for yourself by kind of undoing what you've already done. So, yeah, it's up to you. It's totally up to you. I'll tell you, mine is not perfectly symmetrical. You know, it's not. There's a little bit of there's a margin. I think mine's the same. One side is a little bit taller than the other, but you honestly, once you got it all together and stuff, it's not one of those noticeable things. So, and I think it's those little inconsistencies that allow the character to kind of come to life, to really have that like special look about it. Obviously, if you do it too much, then it's noticeable and it makes the work look not as good. But if it's just a little bit, I think is a really good thing to leave in. So, yeah. You were there at the beginning of class, but couldn't work on it till now. All right. Well, glad to have you on board. Yeah, no, don't worry about like, being current with whatever we're working on. So it's all good. I'm glad you guys are. Oh, hey, thanks for the gifted sub there, ID 10 Tango. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the support. Yeah, great job there, Ray Ray. Keep it up. We got a gremlin update as well. Oh, not a gremlin update. Jones. Oh, Clayton Jones. I found this painting by Fritz. This reminded me of your gremlin. Oh, yeah, look at that. Totally. Lighting the torches. Asymmetrical has a bit of whimsy about it. Exactly, yeah. And that's the reality. So most of the classes that I'll be teaching you guys, we're not doing like super serious versions of these characters, because it's like more of like a higher level, like intermediate type of sculpting, so we want you guys to have nice wins, projects that you can finish that look good, that read well to others, because that's gonna be what drives you to continue, which is what you need to do to get to the like doing very serious dragons or very serious robots, or like character portraits, likeness sculptures, all those like more difficult topics. But the thing is all the techniques that we're learning on this can be applied to a very serious robot and still work. That's the idea is you're learning the technique without trying to produce the really serious thing. So we're creating a design that's fun and looks cool, but allows a bigger margin of error. So all the characters we've done so far, that's my line of thinking is let's pick topics or styles that allow for a bigger margin of error. And that means you guys, even though you don't have the experience, will still be able to create a really nice piece that will look good, that you'll be happy about, and get those early wins. Because I'm telling you, if you set out to do like, let's say I just started sculpting and I set out to do like a really beautiful like female Marvel character or something. Well, you know what's going to end up happening? You're going to end up with the old hag witch from the swamp with like a superhero outfit on. And then you're going to not want to share your work with anybody, and you're going to be very disappointed, and you're not going to be able to say what your original intent was. So it's going to crush your and the problem isn't that you can't do those things. It's just you're jumping into the deep end of the pool. You know what I mean? With there's just certain things that if you try to make are much harder than other things, to get a good successful, because the margin of error for like a beautiful female likeness is like tiny, but the margin of error of the witch of the woods is very big margin of error, meaning you can have inconsistencies all over, but no one notices because it's in the nature of that kind of character. So superhero witches are my favorite. Yeah. So that's why the type of things that I'm having you guys sculpt is very, very intentionally picked. So that way you can learn without deflating your confidence. You know what I'm saying? So do a witch from the woods class. Yeah, maybe we will. It'll be the intro to female characters. The bog hag. All right, final gallery pictures. Oh, do we got somebody finishing up here? Oh, look at that. Do we already see that? I can't remember. 7, 12. Okay, I think this one might. I feel like we've already seen this one. That's weird that it showed it as unseen. Very nice. Woodland Gremlin class. Another one finished. This one's really good. I like the reddish color and the way it goes with these blues and stuff. Really nice. Such a gentle character. The glorious breeze flowing in his beard. All right. Okay. Well, that's it. That's it for this week, folks. Thank you all very much for joining me. That's going to conclude our class for today. We'll be back tomorrow for just regular work week. Remember, this upcoming week, there's no evening streams. I'll be using the evenings to, I have about 6 projects that need final touches and recording and shipping and all that stuff. So I really need the time to get that all done. So this week I'll be taking the evenings off to get that all finished. But then we'll be back to doing evenings. But the morning stream's still on. We'll be doing mornings just like normal. So anyways, thank you all for joining me. Let's find someone to raid. And yeah, thanks for the support. I think we had Croker raid, Fenrir resub, and an ID Tentago gifted sub. Thank you guys. Thank you for the support. Let's see, who can we raid today? Oh, Glad is on sculpting. Let's go hit up Glad Sask doing some sculpting. Hey, you too, Gravity. You have a good one, my friend. Have a nice rest of your weekend, everybody, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Till then, bye-bye.